Just
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. Good morning and happy Thursday. Thank you for being here and thank you for being present. We are with WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast, #1 internet singles talk network, and your health vibes with Elana. I'm Elana, and today I am your host of Your Health Vibes. Oh my gosh, with Elana. What do you know? Today, our show is going to be design your destiny, building your life that you deserve with the one, the only, my beautiful sister, Shannon Grady. Woo! Thank you so much for being here. It just really makes my heart so happy to just be on here today with you. So thank you so much.
Elana, thank you for the opportunity. You know I love you.
I love you too. And I just want to say, like, with this show, I just love that we can show up together, being authentic and just letting the world know who we are. So, Shannon, if you would like to share with the world who you are and just a little bit about you, I would love for the world to know what I get to know.
Let's see, where do we start, right? Like, I'm Shannon Crotty. I'm the founder and CEO of Polka Dot Powerhouse. I'm the author of the #1 bestseller, No One Is Peeing in the Deep End, a survival guide for launching a dream. I'm the visionary behind the Deep End Planner. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a dot sister. I'm a golf addict. I love the good ice. I'm a true crime junkie. All the things.
I love that. Well, thank you for being here. And you know what? One of the main reasons of how we got connected was I was introduced to a beautiful thing called the Polka Dot Powerhouse. And I have to tell you, I have never felt so loved, honored, seen, and respected in a community of women that I've ever been in my life. And I just want to say just a shout out and thank you for that, because in this world right now, it's pretty hard. It's pretty tough to just connect, to show up, to ask for help, and to be supported and seen. And this has been one of the most beautiful things and in my life. And I just want to thank you for, I mean, maybe we could talk a little bit about that, of how it showed up and other women to be a part of this, because you have really shown up to show like the destiny of building my own life and being the architect of it. So thank you for that.
Elana, thank you. This has been a journey for me too. And every time I hear someone who's been affected by our family in Polka Dot Powerhouse, the way you have, everything's a reflection, right? I see the way I needed the community. I was the world's worst connector who got something but my sister Tina from heaven. I'm not the person to do this. What if they find out? What if they see I'm a horrible connector? And so the family's also really shown me I don't need to be fixed. It's okay for me to be me. And when I do that, it releases all of this energy that I've spent or that we spend in worrying about, is this right? Are they going to like me? Is this what I need to do? Like, everything's a reflection. The community just reflects back who you are to you.
And it truly does. And I'm just so grateful that. And it's funny to say like you weren't a connector, because knowing you, I'm like, that thought doesn't even cross my mind. I love how you connect with others. I love how you show up and you get to be you and just to connect with you. And with this, I think what is so beautiful, you don't have to be anybody. You get to show up as yourself. And what you've always said, which I really love, yesterday you were saying you get to be your own architect. You get to build your life the way you want to, not how your mom tells you to, not how this person, not how society. And that's what I love so much about this, and what you've taught is to show up for yourself, is to ask for help, and to show that it's not about the success. It's not about what is on paper. It's what your heart and soul. And that's what is so needed and so rare in this world today. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. It is rare, and I think I've told you this before. My sister Tina sent me the name from heaven. And so I'm like a helicopter mom with this community because it's my sister's legacy. And I didn't know this in the beginning, but I learned over time that with my sister Tina, it's a long story, but she was one of the few people I felt comfortable with. Like I felt like I could put down the guard and breathe, like right? Every event we start breathing first because I want people to feel that breath. Oh, let's do it right now. Like a deep breath in. That is how it felt to be with Tina. And that is what I want women to experience with an army of allies, that they're not having to compartmentalize of these are my mom friends and these are my college friends. What if you just had friends that were with you your entire life, that were sometimes supporting you, sometimes you were supporting them, sometimes you're the educator, sometimes you're the learner, and all the ebbs and flows, that you just had a community that you could feel that breath of breathing and all that worry that's normally there with finding friends, with what if they don't like me, of fitting in, you have to stand out to fit in. What if all that's gone and all that energy you were using for that was just simply put to you being in your zone of genius, you being here for what you're on this earth to do. That's a lot of energy that can be put in the right direction.
I totally agree. And that's what I really feel about you, is that I feel like I can do whatever I want. I feel like I can show up for that woman that I want to be in this community, in this group. And like, it's not just like, oh, we have these meetings and we connect. It's so real. It is so raw. And one of my first, like when I came to Celebration and I got to speak in front of, I thought I was going to black out. I didn't, I was shaking. You know me, I could talk to anybody. I could sell ice to an Eskimo, but there I felt so overwhelmed. I think also in previous times, I've had women who didn't make me feel good and not show up. And I am always that cheerleader for everyone showing up. But right away, for women I've never met, they stood in a wall, stood behind, supported me, backed me up. And I was like, this is where I should be. This is exactly where I can breathe. This is where I can show up and truly find that amazing support that is needed. And I can't tell you, from that just spiral more, like giving that confidence. And, I think that's what the hardest is trusting and finding women who really you can trust. And I can't tell you with this how much it truly, I know I've said it before, has changed my life. So just thank you again. Really.
You're so welcome. I think that we've been fed this idea of what friendship means and what it looks like. And They must believe what I believe. They must have the same qualities as me. They must look like me. They must act like me. And I think sometimes that's why it's like, well, nope, she's more energetic than me, or she doesn't have that. You know me, I have a very slanted strength set. Mm-hmm. Like I am sucky at 97% of the things. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And if we realize you don't need to be good at all the things, and you don't need to fit into every category and have everybody, meet everybody's model of what is right. The reason I know this is you don't have to be all those things, because you have billions of other people on this planet. There's a reason we're all different. And if we kind of open the box of, or kind of pull down the walls of, look, I'm not getting married to this person, but if I can start welcoming people that are totally different than me, that have different strength sets, that have different energy levels, that have different mindset, it only grows me as a person. It expands what's being reflected to me. And so I think it's a matter of, and sometimes that can feel uncomfortable if that's what we taught forever.
Yeah.
It can feel uncomfortable, but then, well, what else could it mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm growing, right?
Right. And that's where it comes up of like allowing you, like, I love that you say, like, you get to design your own destiny. You get to design how you want to show up. You get to be your architect of what you want. And I love that you say that, because as what you said, society, this person wants you to be this person's, and it's all buzzing. But what I love too, what you said is we all have a piece to the puzzle. So if I don't know something, like if that's not my lane, I'd be like, you know what, Shannon, that is so your lane. How can you help me? Opposed to society, we as women think we have to do it ourselves, or we don't want to look this or that. And so I think I love like this group as well because of that community, because you can ask for what you need and it shows up. Like literally you put something on there and you're, whoa, the universe listened. The universe wanted to show up. And so with that too, I know that you wrote an amazing book. So I would love for everybody to see and the cover is just,
Oh, I'll grab it. Hang on here.
yeah,
Okay.
Shannon is also, she's behind the Deep End Planner, as well as the author of the #1 best-selling book, No One is Peeing in the Deep End, a survival guide for launching a dream. Incredible.
Incredible. So for those who aren't seeing, who are listening, there the cover of the book, I see pictures of things before I have ideas completely filled. Anybody else? Just me? Okay, fine. I'm
Yeah.
a visionary in the sense that I see ideas and I see the pictures. Every idea, I see the picture of it first. So I had the idea for the cover way before the book was written, and it was a matter of finding it. So this is an actual photograph of me underwater. I had to find, the underwater photographer, do
Yeah.
all the things, and it's always easier said than done. Under that water, finally, I'm like, just forget it, just get a shot. Like when we actually picked, the shoe was falling off like I envisioned, all the things like I envisioned. The book, people ask me often, like, how did you do this?
Mhm.
Especially if you're a bad connector who owns a connection company, or at least I was, right? I'm much better now. 300 feet at a time. The distance of headlights. Thank goodness I could not see everything that I would need to know, or oh, hell no, I would have cut and run. That's too scary.
Great.
I was only given 300 feet of vision at a time, but what I realized is nobody's talking about that.
Mhm.
Nobody's talking about, we usually hear about the very beginning of a company and the success story or the crash and burn of a company. There's so much in there that no one's talking about. No one talks about some of the challenges of launching a dream. Nobody talks about some of the emotional components, some of the relationship components of launching a dream, or at least I couldn't find those resources. And so for me, anytime you're thrown a challenge, it's not only meant to grow you and help provide insight, it's also meant to help the people who are standing next to and behind you. And so,
Ooh, can you say that again one more time?
yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
anytime that you're given a challenge, I believe you're not only meant to grow you and provide clarity to you, but it's also meant to help the people beside you and behind you.
Mm. Listen to
So,
that, everybody. That is a very good nugget.
yeah.
Very
And so I thought, well, if I couldn't find it, and there's billions of people in the world and I can't find it, there's all
right.
these other people thinking they're broken, they're doing it wrong, they're whatever, because they don't, that's just part of it. But, social media, right? We want it to look like we got it all together. We're not
Right?
talking about that there. So where do
No,
we talk
we
about
don't.
it? So this was some of the challenges that I had in launching Polkadot into a global company, and not even wanting it to go there, Elena. Like, no, just stop. Where are we going? What are we doing? I don't want this. I want to get off this ride. But my sister was pushing me. My gut was saying, don't quit, all of those things. But we need to talk about that so people know that this is part of it. Like, it's very seldom do I think it looks like, like this
Right.
birth
Like
of,
roses and butterflies and sparkles and just it's always,
yeah,
like no.
some days, yeah, but more
Yeah.
days than not, you're like with your head in your hand going, what? I didn't sign up for any of this. Maybe this
Right.
isn't meant for me because I'm not all the things. I mean, I was not all the things a founder or a CEO was supposed to be, especially of a connection company. But you know what? I was. I just
You
wasn't what society thought that
Mhm.
looked like. And so for sure, the first couple of years, I was so afraid I was going to be found out. What if they find out? You know, I
Yeah.
was I was just trying to make sure no one found out. And then when they did, they're like,
And
and
you
I'm
did
like,
it.
oh shoot, I should have done something else with that energy, right? We
Right.
share these stories, not of complaining, but of overcoming and learning and what is normal so that people, I think many people give up on their dreams because they think it's supposed to be that butterflies and rainbows, and it's
Uh-huh.
not. If it was, everyone would be doing it.
Right.
But what I do know is if an idea was sent to you and it won't leave you alone, you're at least meant to move it in some way.
Ooh, I really like that. So maybe can you expand a little bit on that for someone who is struggling, or maybe the younger generation? Because I feel like right now we're all just comparing. They're all on their phones. It's all like, the social aspect, but really dig deep. Like if I would have known a little bit too when I was younger, just more like showing life. I've always been authentic, but we're always comparing. We're always doing. So with that, how do you help maybe the younger generation push forward of really living their dream and not being stuck of comparing themselves to everybody else?
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to take that away from them, but I think that if we can yesterday the question came up, who spends too much time on social media? Everybody raised their hand, right?
Yeah.
But if we have some moments that we bring ourselves back to center with that breath or whatever that is, to know that your gut, you were built as a complete package the way you were supposed to be. You're probably not going to do it alone. And
Right.
that's by design as well. But you're not broken. And the qualities that, someone asked me, well, because I'm a bit more sharp edge. I have really high standards and firm boundaries, and I expect what I expect and I want what I want. And someone said, I'm a very nice person. I'm a good friend, but I'm also, I'm not, again, not what people expected. So someone asked me, if that's the case, what do you think your qualities brought to this? Well, maybe or maybe not, we wouldn't be a global company because
Yeah.
someone's got to go through the wall first, right? And the first
Right.
person who goes through is bloody. So maybe if I hadn't been a little bit harder edge, we would stay a local company, which is fine.
Right.
But all that I know is that it was sent to me. So I think what if I could go back and talk to my younger self,
Mhm.
we oftentimes don't know the answer, but we do. Like, I think like Tony Robbins, I love one of his quotes is, if someone asks you a question, you say, I don't know. Well, if you did know, what would the answer be? Guess what? The answer is built in. It's a matter of trusting, learning, and it's a muscle. So it's not like,
Mhm.
yep, Shannon Crotty said I'm going to trust myself. That washes
Yeah.
off. And every time you it's a matter of learning to trust yourself. And it's a matter of learning to hear and recognize what your gut sounds like, because your gut is always firing. It's firing good. It's firing bad. It's firing girl, get out of here, run away. It's firing go forward. But life is so busy and it's noisy that
Mhm.
often, especially when you're young, oftentimes it takes you, I'm 55 and I would say I just started to recognize what my gut sounded like and felt like and sticking up for my gut,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Sometimes you gotta disappoint people in the matter of sticking up for your gut. But if you don't, you're gonna disappoint all of the people that are counting on you to do what you're supposed to do on this earth. So, but I think it's just learning. So practicing, when you feel iffy about something but here's the other thing.
Yeah.
This is a hard truth. Your brain does not, when you're feeling like scared out of your mind, which I do on a daily, your brain doesn't know whether you're being chased by an alligator or if you're just pushing yourself to do something scary. And so
Yeah.
you have to, if you're
I
scared,
love that analogy.
in moments of like clarity, like, okay, girl, let's assess this.
Yeah.
So I have to tell you, I don't know if we have time or if I'm
No,
talking
we
too much.
do, of course. No, we definitely do have time.
So during COVID, so when they announced the shutdown, I
Yeah.
was on the phone from a launch.
Okay.
And I was like, what are we going to do? Our chapter meetings were in person and we're a connection company. Like, what are we going to do? Well, I'm an expert of things either flying out of my mouth before I can catch them or jumping off a cliff and building the plane on the way down. Like, I'm notorious for it, right? So I'm sleep deprived. I'm traveling home. They announced the shutdown while I'm in the airport. I get home, land, and it's an hour and a half drive home. In the parking lot of the airport, I do a live to our members. And somewhere, some ridiculous person says out of my mouth, we're going to do a daily Zoom for our members during shutdown every day for an hour. Now, I heard myself say it and didn't quite believe I said it, but I went back and watched the live later. Yeah, you said it. Now, here's the interesting part. I'm an ambivert. I'm equal parts introvert and extrovert. And what I usually describe that as meaning is I love my dot sisters. I love speaking. I speak, all over.
Yeah.
I love that while I'm there, but I'm usually breathing in a bag an hour before, and I
Right.
need 4 days of downtime after. So for me to say, we're going to do a daily Zoom, so the whole hour and a half home, I'm like, what? I'm like crying. I'm hyperventilating. What have you done? And how are you going to do this? And are you nuts? And so every day it was like I had this little kind of mini anxiety attack.
Yeah.
But then when I was on the live, I was so filled up and whatever. And then we would finish that and I would like, "Oh, okay, that's over. Oh my gosh, you're okay." And then the next day I would, and the day after day, it got easier. So just one of the things I think with, especially when you're learning what that gut is just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not right.
Ooh, I
No,
really
that
like
was hard. That was hard for me. But
yeah.
guess what? At the end of the day, it's what our community needed and it's what I needed too. But every day it was hard until it wasn't. And I don't even know if it wasn't ever got there, but it got less and less hard.
Yeah.
So your gut knows, but it doesn't mean, again, I think we get conditioned from social media, which is great, right? We all love social media, but you've got to also say, is this the highlight reel? How many
Mhm.
takes take them to do that? Right? Or that we're watching 5 minutes a day. Some of the heavy influencers, it seems like they're on there a lot. This is 5 minutes out of a 24-hour day.
Yeah.
It
That's
wasn't all them jumping and singing with the music in the background, right? Like, it was
great.
hard.
Yeah,
Probably
no,
hard for them.
and just putting yourself out there to be like vulnerable, to show up. And so grateful for that, of just being honest, because I think so many times people look like, oh, because you're this or you're this, like they have all these like expectations. And I think in light and showing up. And oh, my dad called me, he said, very true. We always have to find ways to break through the wall. Thanks, Dad.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I love that, because I think of what you said is just showing up and saying like, I can do this, but I need setting your boundaries. I love your boundaries. I love how you can show up and truly authentically say like, this is where I'm at. This is what I can give, because I feel society doesn't allow us to do that. Doesn't allow us to set those boundaries because they have all these unwanted expectations. So with you, I feel even more like it's so helpful to show you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to show up this way. You show up as yourself, and then you can work together. And what you had said too is what was good for you is what's good for the community. We don't realize, sometimes we think like, oh, is it gonna help someone? If it helps one person, that can make a difference. So I really love that about you too.
But here's the thing. If it helps only one person, it doesn't help only one person. It helps every single person that person ever comes in contact with.
You're
When
right.
you help someone, you help everyone they ever influence. So if it's kind of like the thing like, oh, you say you only lost a pound. This is what a pound looks like. Hey, you say, well, only one person in the room clapped. You affected them in some way. And now they're going to go out. It's going to become a part of their tapestry. It's going to be part of who they are and what they think and what they believe in some small way. But all those small things add up to big influence and big impact. So if you're affecting one life, you're affecting many, many lives.
So true. I do love how you say that. Yeah, it's wordy. And also I think too of what we think is when we accomplish like the little things too, celebrate the little and big. I think we feel we want that instant gratification. We want this humongous thing happening, but it's like, even if you get out of bed, you make your bed, you show up, you do just small little tasks, like you leave a message for someone, or just something like that. I think that too says a lot of how we want to show up as well.
Yeah, I think there's a famous quote, and I'm not even sure, someone else will know who said it. We highly overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we highly underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. Because
Ooh.
it is like we want it right now and we expect it right now. And I'm one of the most impatient people ever. So I totally get that, right? But if you look back long term at
Mhm.
the ground that you've made, at the people that you've met and affected, and by the way, I'm going to say this as an owner of a connection company. If you're not cycling through, I'm not, that's not the right word. If We all lose friends and we all outgrow friends and they outgrow us. And I have a friend, Alice, that always says, you have friends for a reason, a season, and a lifetime.
Mm.
And not everybody's meant to be here forever. And if you are not losing friends, sometimes you're not growing.
Oh, I just got the chills. If anybody, my arm hairs are sticking up from that. That is, because I don't think we were taught that. We're taught everybody should be friends and you're going to be lifelong. And just because you're friends and you've known them your whole life, that expectation once again. So maybe we can talk just a few hours about that. Of it's okay sometimes in life that you have to let go of someone and lessons you've learned of what it is.
Right. We, as we grow, I always talk about friendship. When we talk about Polka Dot and we talk to members, I say, we can't provide you sisterhood. We can't provide you friendship, support, love, any of that. We can't. We can
Mhm.
only reflect back to you.
Ooh,
But as you change, as you grow and evolve, that reflection changes. And it doesn't always feel good, like you said, for the reasons of friends is BFF, best friends forever, forever in there, right? Like, so our brains says it's supposed to be forever, right? But it's, and there are some friendships like that, but
right.
very, very, very few of them. But I know for me, in my history, I grew up with a lot of people, with a lot of people that you couldn't count on, like broken promises kind of thing. For
Mhm.
me, we all have times that we have to cancel something. For
Of
me,
course.
being around people with a lot of excuses and things like that is super triggering, and as an adult, I choose not to do it. Now, I can know and like those people,
Right.
and I certainly do. There's a lot of really impactful people that's just that their personality is that they don't do that, right? Like they don't make promises or they don't keep promises. Cool, you do you. But I don't choose to spend time around that because I know that that is no longer what the reflection of my life looks like.
And I love that you know that in your gut and that you can stand up and say that, because I feel too many times we get in these situations that we're uncomfortable or we think like, oh, we're going to hurt them or we don't know how to say it and then they get stuck. But it's so true. You have to speak your needs. You have to show up for yourself and ask for what you want. And if things are triggering, exactly what you said, you can have them there, but know where they are in that order of what you can rely and trust on. So
Right. Right.
thank you for sharing that, because as I said, people, as you think, my BFF, friends forever, and it's this whole like
Whoever puts forever in there,
yeah, right?
we need to have a word with them because that that sets so many friendships to sound like failures then. But
Yeah.
can we, and it's easier said than done, right? When you're on the tail end of a friendship and it's dying or it's dead,
Mhm.
it doesn't feel good. And there's nothing that I'm going to say or anybody else is going to say that it's a grieving process. It's a relationship. So it should go through a grieving process. But at the end of that, can we see that we were friends for the perfect amount of time that we were supposed to be friends to help each other grow while the reflection was very similar. And as we both grew, cool, we needed different people. That's not something you're thinking at the beginning, but hopefully after a period of that grief is over, you can look back and find it not. Now, some of them are like a dumpster fire and you just never want to see that person again. That's for sure. 99.9 should be someone who at least over time you can look back and see that either you taught them, they taught you, or hopefully both.
Yeah. No, and I love all your sayings, all your like tidbits. It really just, makes me so happy. And I think, more and more as this, I think people really truly need to ask for what they want. Because I think so maybe what as we kind of start to wrap up, when you're designing your own destiny, doing maybe kind of leave us with quote or something that what really, really you want the world to know, last kind of comment statement of how when you're designing and building your life that you deserve, what is it maybe another little Shannon's nuggets that you have?
They don't always come at the right time.
Yeah.
I think that
Not to put pressure on you.
I guess I'll go back to the trusting of self. Like you're not broken. The fact that you don't have the strength that you think you should, that's unfortunate, but you are how you're built by design. You're a whole package. There's no parts missing, right? And
Mhm.
your gut knows the way. Your gut, and it's just a matter of we need to treat ourselves, some of the things that we say to ourselves, some of the things that we think to ourselves, right? We would never ever say those things or think those things as someone we loved. And I
Right.
think that, I was telling someone the other day that I am an adult that has childhood trauma that, I've had therapy and all those things, but that's kind of been like my lifelong kind of probably journey.
Mhm.
I think those of us who have been through trauma, which is probably everyone, right? We built
Yes.
we built a wall to protect ourselves, and that's what we needed to do at the time. And I can only speak for myself, but my journey is slowly, one by one, removing those bricks and building a beautiful road in front of me. And
Ooh,
that's what I spent a lifetime doing. And I think it's a matter of trusting what's on the other side of the wall enough to pull a brick down and trusting yourself, knowing that you can't do it wrong. You might make a decision that forces you to go the long way around, right? But
right.
you can't screw it up because you're resilient and you're strong and you're capable. And if you'll just start to learn to pull those bricks down and learn to start trusting yourself and know that whether you feel like it all the time or not, because none of us feel like it 100% of the time,
Yeah.
you're so freaking wise. If you knew if you were to remember how amazing you were, how strong you were, how capable you were all the time, you would literally explode into confetti. So that's why maybe we get it in doses, right? To keep us
Yeah.
humble and all of that. But you cannot screw this up.
And I love that you say that because that really, really makes me feel so good. And my dad says, excellent words and thoughts today. He really, really loved that. And thank you for that because I think as what I said, I felt like that. And other people feel like, God, I've messed it up. I'm not on the right path. We're comparing and doing, and it's so right. How would I talk to a little Lena? Would I tell her like, oh, you suck. You're not on the right path, little girl? Like, no, that's awful. And I do catch myself. So I think too, a good thing, like I actually have a little picture of little Elena next to me. So when I'm being mean to myself or doing anything, I look at her and I can talk to her too, because I agree. It's all how we talk. It's all, the more you hear that, it's like,
Yeah.
so
I have that too. I have a picture of, I was 2 or 3, and I often look at that and go, "Girl, we did it," or "Girl, you came through." But, I think sometimes too that we forget that
Mhm.
when we're going through a challenging time, it's either to grow a muscle to prepare us for something in the future, or it's to slow us down long enough to see something that we're supposed to see, or introduce us to someone we're supposed to be in their path or they're supposed to be in ours. Like there is a reason anytime you're going through a challenge and it doesn't feel great out, it's again easier said than done. But if we can at least look at it through that lens, we can be much more gentle with ourselves and love ourselves the way that the world needs us to love ourselves to do what we're here to do.
Yeah, and I love that. You say we signed up for this. I think we asked for like what kind of life. We signed up for this contract and we're here to sign up to show up and be our authentic self of what we need. And I love that. Exactly. Trusting yourself. And your number one thing, trusting your gut.
Right? Because your gut. So I'm just making sure I don't say this wrong. Someone said this and I thought it was a great quote. It wasn't my quote. When you pray or meditate or whatever, that
Mhm.
is you talking to God, the universe, whatever your belief system is. When your gut is firing, that is that source talking back.
Ooh. Oh, yes. Another amazing. I really want you guys to really listen to this and really sit with that and see what comes up because that is a beautiful thing. I think we don't think like that. We think, as I said, instant gratification. We don't understand and we're not thinking of the lesson.
Right?
So, you know, well, I just wanted to thank you again for showing up and, just thank you so much for being here and showing the world what you're about and being honest, being authentic. It just truly makes my heart happy. And as I said, I always tell you, you're stuck with me forever, forever.
Well, that's time I will take the forever, right? And
Yes.
you know that I absolutely adore you. I love the light that you shine. And number one, I so appreciate the opportunity of today, because anytime we get to talk to people, it's a wonderful thing. But number two, I really appreciate the opportunity, the gift that God has sent me in having you as a friend, because you just light the place up. And man, I got to put on some shades sometimes, but I don't really want to.
Right? I know. I am a little much sometimes,
No,
but
you are you are just the right amount,
thank
and
you.
that's a huge amount of light. So thank you.
Thank you. And then really fast for our audience, where can they reach you at?
So I have 2 websites that you can go to find more information about me. The first one is shannonkrotty.com, ShannonCrotty.com, and or our amazing community at Polka Dot Powerhouse. So polkadotpowerhouse.com, polkadotpowerhouse.com.
Perfect. Well, everybody, thank you so much. I'm Elana Feldman with WGBSN Going Solo Network. Thank you for being here, and I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of the day. Please watch this and spread it around. Love you all. Bye.